and welcome to Dits on YouTube, the second live stream of the week. Of course, I did an NXT Night 1 Great American Bash review on Wednesday night, and to kind of say thank you to everybody who took part in the stream, got themselves involved in the chat, or have since gone back to watch the replay, all that good stuff. I thought I'd do this. Just a bit of a thank you, you know, and the fact that I enjoyed it a lot on Wednesday helps. And also has another benefit in the fact that I haven't watched SmackDown properly for a very, very long time. Months. It's on, sometimes I never watch it live, even though it's on a Friday night where I could just as easily do it. I never watch it live. I always either watch it the day after, or the day after that, or I might not even watch it at all, and I'll just hit YouTube and look at it that way. I don't know. It depends how my mood feels, because sometimes I'll be catching on NXT, I'll be catching up on AEW. Nowadays I'm catching up on New Japan, or I'll just be catching up on stuff that isn't wrestling. Anything but SmackDown. It's not been must-see TV, and it hasn't been for a long time. But tonight I was forced to actually watch it from start to finish. I had no options of being able to fast forward through the show, which is good because I do that to Raw. I sometimes do it to NXT, so that I was handcuffed today and was forced to watch SmackDown all the way through. And I really, really enjoyed the show. Ending aside, we will get to that. But the show as a whole, it was all about the wrestling. The first hour alone, chef's kiss. First chef's kiss of the night. It was great that we had that. I mean, we had the little interview segment at the start with Michael Cole and Matt Riddle, but then we had the match, then straight into another match, and then a little bit of a promo, and then another match. It was a good flow of wrestling to promo time, and then, yes, we ended up with Jeff and Sheamus. That was the thing. That is the thing that ended the show. It main evented SmackDown, even though you had an Intercontinental title match between AJ and Drew Gulak, which was a very good match. And you also had an incredibly good match between Matt Riddle and John Morrison, which started the show, didn't main event. No, we had the toast of Jeff Hardy finish the show. I mean, why? Why? You've had an incredible show up until that point. Why would that end it? Why is that ended it? Boggles the mind. It genuinely boggles the mind. I don't know why it was a thing, but it was. But anyway, I want to put off talking about that for as long as I can. So we're just going to go in chronological order. We'll start at the start of the show, and we'll end up at that stuff that happened at the end of the show. But before we do, anybody that is here live or anybody that's catching the replay at this point, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. These live reviews and live streams and what will become live reactions, because I'm back at work next week, they're going to be more frequent. They're going to be more often. So make sure you subscribe so you know exactly when they're coming. Hit the like button on this because algorithms, I don't know. And then hit the bell. Hit that little notification bell so you definitely don't miss anything that's coming out. Bang, you know when Dits is on the air. Bang, you know when Dits has dropped a video, whether it be wrestling or gaming. Who cares? You know when that has dropped. So go and do that. And just out of curiosity, I mean, this isn't available online. This is a DOWPOD t-shirt. I have since upgraded the logo. Wait, there, get the fingers in place. No, wait, there, bang. I've since upgraded the logo to the one you see there below me. However, I still rock this one. So if anyone likes that one or this, just ask me and I'll make it happen for you. There you go. They're not available anywhere. They're only available in this house. I hold all the DOWPOD merch for my very own. But if you're interested in having it, we could always make it available. So just comment, hit me up on Twitter at Dits on Wrestling. Go on Patreon, which is a work in progress at the moment, and throw something in there. I don't even know how Patreon really works. We'll find out. We're working out the kinks. We'll get there. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I like merch. People like merch, even if it's terrible merch. I mean, I like this, but you might not like it. I like it. I would pay £25, $25 for this. There's no way I would charge that. There's no way I would charge. 15. I think 15's reasonable. $15, 15 quid. We'll see. We'll see. I will start a merch store and we will see how many people actually pay money. Just money in general for one of these. But giveaways are a thing. So, hey, you might have one of these bad boys for your very own via a giveaway on Dits on Wrestling over on Twitter. Who knows? Or on the YouTubes. It doesn't matter. Anyway, plugs away. Let's talk SmackDown. And SmackDown opened. In fact, actually, no. This is to do with SmackDown, but not exactly what happened. This was throughout the show. Michael Cole has a lot of really annoying habits when it comes to his commentary. We know this. It's boss time. It's the big dog. Oh my, you gotta be kidding me. Changing gears. I could go on. The list goes on. Other people might have noticed this before me because, like I said, I don't really watch SmackDown all that much. But when he's constantly saying that somebody has landed on their neck, regardless of whether that's true or not, he says it a lot. He said it with the Riddle match. I'm pretty sure he said it in the AJ match, and he sure as hell said it in the Alexa Bailey match. And actually, I think he said it in the Nakamura match as well. Just why are you adding more annoying things into your like commentary vocabulary? It's frustrating. It's annoying. I don't want to hear it 6 times a show. Oh my God, it landed on the back of his neck. She landed on the back of her neck. Cole, just shut up. I don't mind you. You're okay. But stuff like that annoys me. Just the same shit all the time. It's boss time. The big dog. At least we're saved from the big dog stuff until Reigns comes back. That's a saving grace here. But anyway, I just noticed that as I was watching. I just thought I'd get it out there. And hopefully now, if you didn't notice that, now it's implanted. So when you watch SmackDown next week, he's going to say that a lot. I'm sure he's going to say that a lot. But anyway, we kicked off SmackDown, unfortunately, with Michael Cole, interviewing Matt Riddle. And something else that really annoys, it just seems like I'm just finding things to complain about as we start this thing. But I know his whole gimmick is the original bro, and he says bro a lot. But Jesus Christ, how many times do you want to say bro in a promo? Yo, bro, I respect AJ, bro. But bro. Yeah, bro. You know, bro. You know, bro. Yeah, just bro. Stop saying bro. Stop saying bro. Anything else? All right, just say mate, say pal, say buddy. Anything. I'm not your buddy, bro. I'm not your bro, pal. Like, anything. Just change it. Bro. That's all I heard. I switched off. I don't think Riddle's like an amazing promo guy anyway. He's all in ring as far as I'm concerned. But it was exhausting. It was like, I understand that you are the original bro and that's your thing. And hey, your entrance theme even starts with it. But you don't have to sell it that much to me. I know. I know who you are, Matt Riddle. I've watched you for years. I know that bro is your thing. Stop repeating it. And then we went into the... Michael Cole asked a question about his lack of footwear in his matches and why that's a thing. I actually think that's a reasonable question to ask. I was curious. I'm not sure if his tale is true. I will have to back that up and have a look, but I believed it. And initially when it started and he was just like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, ugh. And he said it was a long story as well. I was like, here we go. Just some drawn out shite that I'm not interested in. There's going to be a smattering of bros dotted around this thing. And yeah, it's just not going to amount to anything. But then he told a story of how, he got the frostbite and now he doesn't really feel anything in his feet unless he's got footwear on, and then it burns his foot. And then it made sense that he could do that. It made sense. So, because it's weird how WWE haven't forced him to wear footwear. So I guess there is a legitimacy in what he said, because Rusev, I think, landed dodgy on his feet once because he used to wrestle barefoot, if you remember. And they went, no, that was too close. You could have snapped your ankle, could have done whatever. So they made him wear boots. And at the moment, I don't think Riddle's had a scare when it comes to injuries with his feet or his lower leg. But there hasn't been any like indication that we were going to have him lose the feet stuff and start wearing footwear. So I think it's actually a legitimate thing. If he has footwear on, it's probably incredibly painful for him to do it. So it makes sense. It does make sense. And then praise the almighty Corbin. King Corbin comes down to the ring because of course he does, and starts coming out with loads of stuff. I like Corbin. I'm one of the people on this planet who likes Corbin. I think the King Corbin thing has worn out its welcome, and I think it did a very long time ago. I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of King gimmicks. I never have, and I never will. I just think it doesn't have a very big ceiling. It's so very one-dimensional, this whole King stuff. So I think it's time for it to go. But I can see through that gimmick, and I can see Baron Corbin. And I actually think he's a good wrestler. And I think he's a very good heel. His moveset isn't, spectacular. But the moves he does hit, always safe. Always look good. I mean, a deep six is one of my favorite moves in wrestling. I love that thing, especially when he's against smaller guys and he hits 7,000 rotations. It's great stuff. But I know a lot of people hate Corbin and they think he's boring and all that kind of stuff. But people think Randy Orton's boring, and Randy Orton's pretty damn good. So wrestling is subjective. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you fall on. I like Corbin. Corbin versus Riddle, though, which is potentially where this is going to end up. Maybe at Extreme Rules. You started off with Riddle and AJ. And then AJ gets involved a little bit later on, but we'll get into that. His match with John Morrison, which was what was next. Because Corbin was like, you ain't fighting me. You're fighting this guy. And out came John Morrison. But that was kind of a definitive ending. So I don't see that side of things continuing. So Riddle's kind of got the avenue to go either Corbin or AJ. Or step on Corbin to get to AJ. One or the other. But that wasn't where we were tonight. Corbin sidestepped the whole thing. Said, nope, you're facing John Morrison tonight. Randomly. Don't know why, but I'm here for it. I like John Morrison when he first came back to WWE. Little to no fanfare from me. No interest whatsoever. But as time has gone on and his stuff with The Miz and doing the hey hey ho hos, the music videos, all that time, amazing. Second chef kiss of the night. I love that stuff. The cringe comedy these guys have got going on. I love it. I'm here for it. But the fact that John Morrison backs it up in the ring with this whole parkour style that he's got, and it's just super athletic guy. I don't know how old he is, but I think he's around 40. This guy can go. Like, I struggle to get out of this chair, and I'm 28. 28. Yes. I never remember my own age. It's these absolutely killing my brain cells. That's what it is. But the fact that he can move a lot for his age is impressive. But that's what going to the gym does to you. But we had Matt Riddle versus John Morrison, and I thought, you know what? This is going to be good. You know, I wouldn't say they have very similar styles, but there are little bits that mesh and cross over between the two of them. And we ended up having a really, really good match. There was a few moments where I actually thought John Morrison looked a little bit slow. Just some of the, like, how he was running around the ring every now and then. I thought, like, that's when I actually started thinking, I wonder how old he is, and maybe he's just like slowing down just naturally at this stage. But I was wrong to think that, stupid to think that, because he did so much incredible stuff. I mean, there was a transition in the middle of the match, maybe towards the back end, where he faked like a spinning kick and then went down low and swiped the feet and then did a cartwheel over his back. But as he was cartwheeling, he dragged his body up into like a razor's edge position and then spun him around on his head. Boom, down. Amazing transit. It was fluid, smooth, everything. I mean, I can imagine right now, or earlier when that had actually went down, it is going through Twitter or Facebook or wherever, social media in general. It's going everywhere. It was very, very impressive. And that was that kind of really sums up the match. You know, it was very, very good. It flowed really well. There's some chemistry between these two, and if we don't get a feud, or at least a series of matches again between the two of these guys, I'll be disappointed. I don't know if they've ever wrestled before, but watching it, you'd think they'd had, you know, quite a few wrestling matches in the past. It was very good. Very, very good. And I mean, I don't want to really go down this road with stuff, but I don't know, a little bit of me feels a little bit odd when it comes to Matt Riddle, because we've had the whole speaking out stuff over the last month, when it seems to have died down a little bit, but you know, that doesn't really change anything. You know, everything still happened. But obviously Matt Riddle was a part of that, and allegations were made, and then allegations were, you know, kind of pushed away. And then they came back, and then people came back and went, no, this is bollocks. This did happen. Here's more proof. I feel a little bit odd when it comes to Matt Riddle on TV, and I don't know what it is. It's just a weird thing because of all that stuff. I like him as a wrestler. That will never change. I like him as a wrestler, but I don't know. When you've got stuff like that looming, I find it hard to fully invest. But you know, that's my problem. I can still see when, you know, somebody is incredibly talented in the ring and all that good stuff. And he is. And he picked up the win today, which I think was the right thing to do. John Morrison can take losses left, right, and center. It doesn't matter. He's a heel, but he's like a high school heel as well, so it doesn't really matter. But then after the match, we had AJ come out and attack Riddle for for upsetting him 2 weeks ago. And I like the fact that when Matt Riddle came out during his entrance at the very start of the show, and you get where it pans out and it's got the name and like a few bits of stats on the right hand side, and it's the one in the middle was like upset AJ Styles 2 weeks ago. I was like, I get that he beat AJ Styles, but I wouldn't say it was an upset unless he actually upset AJ Styles and like ridiculed his hair or offended him or whatever. upset AJ Styles 2 weeks ago. Why is that in the fact thing? That just seemed very, it just seemed very odd that they put that in there. Like just put beat or defeated AJ Styles 2 weeks ago, not upset AJ Styles. Like AJ's, oh no, it's 2 weeks ago. Weird, very weird. But anyway, AJ attacked Matt Riddle, and then people started coming out, pulling them apart. And yeah, that was kind of that. But we went straight into another match. We went from Matt Riddle, John Morrison, and jumped straight into Drew Gulak and AJ Styles. We had back-to-back great matches on SmackDown this week. When was the last time that happened? And two completely different matches as well. This one seemed a bit more like rough around the edges. And it would be, because Gulak's in it. I don't mean rough in a bad way. I mean, like, you know, some stuff was stiff. You know, some of the kicks that I was hearing, some of the moves. There was that baseball slide from Gulak before the commercial break. I thought AJ was flying straight back up that ramp again. Like, that hit hard. And you could tell that hit hard. In fact, I actually put it in my notes. Kind of made, ooh. But AJ Styles dominated most of this match, and purely because he was focusing on the limbs. I love that kind of storytelling in matches where, you know, limbs are the focus of things, and that kind of feeds into the finishes and stuff. I'm here for all that stuff in wrestling. I love it. So AJ dominated most of this, but then Gulak every now and then, just like that baseball slide, would show like little bits of coming back into it, but then AJ would get back on top again. I think this was more. I think it was more a showcase of AJ tonight, and there's nothing against Drew Gulak. I think Drew Gulak's fantastic. I'm glad that he signed on when he seemingly was going away. I'm glad that he came back and can still have these kinds of matches. I think he can go far in WWE. He's such a good wrestler, and even promos and character and personality, all that kind of stuff is up there as well. So, you know, I'd like to think that he's got a bright future in WWE, and if he's putting on matches like he did with AJ tonight, he could go a long way. I hope. But again, we had a definitive finish with this one. I love the fact that, like, there was odd times in the match where, like, you couldn't put Gulak away. Gulak was, like, kicking out of everything, then Gulak would get the upper hand, and AJ was, like, inside his head. You know, he had Riddle beat him 2 weeks ago, and then now the title's on the line this week, and, like, he was just getting to him. I loved that. Which kind of fed to the finish. He hit the Styles Clash, but didn't go for the pin. Wasn't interested in going for the pin. He wanted to really hammer down the point that he can just fucking beat you. That's it. Like, I know he would have pinned him with AJ Styles, with the Styles Clash, but he wanted that exclamation point, and he got it. He obviously perched Gulak on the ropes, set up the phenomenal forearm, hit it, 1, 2, 3. Shots fired to Riddle. Riddle, take notice. This is what I can do. You may have upset me 2 weeks ago. Upset him 2 weeks ago. But this is what I can do. I want to see Riddle versus... Will we see Riddle versus AJ Styles at Extreme Rules? Potentially. Potentially we will. Still 2 weeks to go, I think. I don't even know where we are. So we got... Yeah, they said 2 weeks on this Sunday. So 2 weeks. So that's 1, 2. Yeah, 2 more SmackDowns. So easily we can fit Riddle and AJ in Extreme Rules. You could probably have Riddle and Corbin next week, and then the following week have some kind of build towards Riddle and AJ at Extreme Rules, and away we go. So I think that's where it's going. What a great way to open SmackDown. That first hour was fire. So good. And I was glad that this is the SmackDown that I tuned in, because every other SmackDown that I've attempted to watch properly has not had an opening hour like that. Within the first 20 minutes, I'm like, right, I know exactly where this show is going. fast forward through everything that is going on that doesn't interest me, which is the majority for the most part. But what a great opening hour. But it wasn't as if the second hour was terrible, because it wasn't, because we then went to the Bayley and Sasha Banks tribute, and we were treated to a Bayley impression of The Undertaker, and Sasha doing her best eye rolling in the back of the head stuff. I enjoyed it. And then we had the video package, which they made. I love the fact that they made themselves a tribute package. I could actually imagine Undertaker on that phone call and just saying everything that she came out with, because it's so fucking ridiculous. But then we had the tribute video, which was very well done. Obviously, Sasha and Bayley didn't throw that together. It was the production team. And I say this a lot on my pod and on here. A shout out to the Dits on Wrestling podcast, by the way. Link down in the description, in the link tree. Go and check that out. I say it all the time. Like, a lot of kudos has to go to the WWE's production team, because the videos that they put on, the promo videos, hype videos, teaser videos, vignettes, whatever, they're so good. Like, if you want to feel hype about something, you either get Paul Heyman to talk about it, or you get the WWE production team to do a video on it. That's how you build something and make it look good and make it hype. So, kudos to the production team for throwing that video together. But we were interrupted by Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross, of course, the number one contender to Bayley's SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, I don't think there's any chance Nikki Cross is going to beat Bayley at Extreme Rules. It would be silly at this point to take that title from Bayley. Bayley and Sasha, and before we continue with the show, I want to give Bayley and Sasha their own spotlight for a second, because in this period of the pandemic and just everything that is going on within WWE, I mean, you could say WWE, but AEW, also don't have crowds. The women in WWE have nailed it. Ever since, I mean, I'm not saying they didn't beforehand, but ever since COVID hit and we were stuck in the Performance Center, and especially recently, like, the women have been such a heavy feature on all three brands. And it's been either led by Charlotte, which obviously people complain about, but there's a reason why she was the one that was doing it. She's good at what she does. Why wouldn't she? And then she went away. And now it's spearheaded by Bayley and Sasha. And I like the fact that they can go on every show, because they're obviously the women's tag team champions, and they can go anywhere. They can defend those belts wherever. Doesn't matter. So it actually makes it legal. Charlotte was just showing up on shows just for shits and giggles, but Sasha and Bayley actually have a right to be on every show should they choose to be. But they've been holding things down and really bringing some positivity to every single show. Bayley's really come into her own as a heel. Sasha's always been great as a heel. And I know, because I'm one of them, there's been so many times where you're just like, right. It's building. We're like, here we go. We're going to get this turn. They're going to feud. Amazing. Never happened. They went to therapy. I believe they actually teased some kind of lesbian angle between the two of them as well. You had Bayley saying, so I can't remember what she said, but like, you ain't shit, or something like that to Sasha. Like, Bayley, what a pop she got when she went ballistic on Sasha when that happened. I think it was like a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more. It was when Bayley had a ponytail. And then they just ended up being friends again. Then they won the women's tag team titles, and then WrestleMania, they lost them, and then Sasha went away. And you thought, oh, Sasha's now back, but Sasha's now a heel. But then Bayley was starting to turn heel, so you're like, here we go. Right? And then they're linked together again, so we're not getting a feud. And then it dragged. And now we're here. Sasha's kind of the lackey. And Bayley is obviously the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion in history. and playing up to that very, very well. And I think we're at that point where I don't want it to end now. It's weird. I've wanted it to end for so long, but now I don't want it to end. Like, they're killing it every single week. And like a third chef's kiss of the stream. They're great. Bayley and Sasha are really, really great together. And I just can't wait for the moment Sasha turns, whether that be at SummerSlam next month. I hope it isn't. I think that's too soon. I'd love it to happen with a crowd. So, I mean, you're looking at Survivor Series, maybe Rumble. You'd like to think WrestleMania next year. We'd have crowds again. You'd like to think. And I think holding out to WrestleMania is not that bad of an idea, to be honest. I think at some point they have to hit the brakes a little bit with being on every show, and I think that will come with eventually losing the tag titles. But this thing can go. As long as it's booked right, this thing can draw out towards WrestleMania season. Done right. It's a tall order. It's a tall order in WWE to get things just right. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, we ended up having an impromptu match between Bayley and Alexa Bliss, because Alexa Bliss clocked Bayley in the face, and Sasha did a Bayley and nominated Bayley for the match. So we had Bayley versus Alexa, and it was a good match. It was decent. It wasn't as good as the first two matches, but that's not a knock, because the first two matches were fantastic. Yeah, this was decent. It was good. And it ended in DQ. They played, again, Bayley showing how great she's become as a heel. She's constantly winding Nikki up. She knows that she's a little bit batshit. And she did enough to the point where Nikki, like, you could see she was holding back when Bayley was kind of like hanging out the rope. She was holding back, and then just went, nah, screw this. Boom. DQ. I love it. I love Nikki. I love Alexa. I love Bayley. I love Sasha. So, great segment. But the thing I loved most about this whole thing was the fact that Sasha was wearing Bayley's belt around her waist. Bit of foreshadowing there, I believe. And that was like just during the match. It was after the match when Bayley was kind of like leaning against the ringside barrier, and Sasha still had this belt on. She wasn't giving it up, and she was like caressing it and like feeling it and just looking at it. She didn't give a shit about Bayley. You do you, Bayley. You crack on and just nurse your injuries or whatever's going on. But I've got this. Foreshadowing. And whether that comes sooner rather than later, I don't know. But it all plays in. There's been moments, so many moments where Sasha's kind of had those looks. And just these little moments of, that's mine. I want it. But you're my friend. So I can't do anything about it. Yet. It's an intriguing storyline. I'm here for it, and we'll see where it goes. And then we had the Wyatt Swamp fight teaser, which was, hyped at the start of the show. And I don't feel any more hyped about it than I did before it happened. I'm glad the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt is back, because I think I honestly think the way it's all been done is fantastic. It's great. And I love the fact that this Bray Wyatt is now back. So we have 3 personalities of Bray running a muck around WWE, which is amazing, because I love Bray. I love The Fiend. I've always been a fan of the cult leader Bray. But I don't know. It's going to be a cinematic match. I don't think there's any real argument with that. I think it's going to be a cinematic match. But why is it not for the title? That's what I don't get. Unless they go, well, Bray's going to pick up the win here, and then at Extreme Rules, when they have a rematch, The Fiend, or whatever, is then going to take the title. I honestly don't, because that'd be interesting, actually, because nobody's done that yet. Nobody's faced the 3 iterations of Bray Wyatt. T3, Cult Bray Wyatt, as far as a gimmick goes, it's one of my favorites. We did a draft that episode on the Dits on Wrestling podcast, I think a month or two ago with Headlock Talk. And in our top 10, Ant and I's top 10, we actually put Bray Wyatt's cult gimmick in there as our top 10 favorite gimmick. Like, I love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think the Wyatt family had legs, and I think it was abruptly stopped. You added, obviously you had Rowan and Harper in there, but then you added Strowman in there, and that just added a whole different layer to everything. You had this black sheep. You had Rowan going around with just the standard white ghost mask, but then you had the black sheep of WWE, Braun Strowman. And I love the fact as well that they're feeding into that with this feud. I'm just not fully invested in the storyline, because I'm not really buying into Braun Strowman as the Universal Champion at the moment, because I'm still soured by the fact that Goldberg beat The Fiend earlier this year. That still bothers me, and it bothers me a lot. And the fact that led to then Braun becoming Universal Champion, it annoys me. It's collateral damage. That's just the way it is. And I think the fires went out on Braun such a long time ago, and it's such a shame, because he had such a hot streak, at least 3 different occasions, whether it be his feud with Reigns, where he was tossing them around in stretchers and flipping ambulances and production trucks and skyscrapers, just throwing everything around. And then he had his good stuff with Brock Lesnar, and then he won the tag titles with a 2-year-old child at WrestleMania. And then it just went downhill from there. Now we have Braun Strowman, Universal Champion, after 2 days build towards his WrestleMania match with Goldberg. It didn't make any sense. I've not bought into it. I'm still not there. It's night and day between Braun and Drew. It really is not. Drew, I absolutely love. I know he was 11. I'm just exaggerating. Can you imagine a 2-year-old being in a WWE? I wouldn't put it past Vince approving that. Like, Bruce Pritchard's like, oh, by the way, my cousin just turned 2. Somebody's looking for a partner. He's like, and Vince's like, oh yeah, is he potty trained? No, he's not potty trained. Sorry, Vince. Well, is he got a diaper? Yeah, he's got a diaper. Get him in there. In he goes. You have a 2-year-old setting a new record. Nicholas set the record for youngest WWE champion of anything ever. Bruce Pritchard's cousin of 2 years old is set to become the youngest WWE champion ever. I honestly would not put it past WWE at some point in the future to do that. It would be so ridiculous. So ridiculous. A 2-year-old would write a better storyline than Vince these days. Yes, they would. In fact, he's now 4. He had his birthday the other day. My 4-year-old son could come up and does come up with fantastic storylines with his wrestling figures and Buzz Lightyears and Woodies and Baymaxes and all that kind of stuff. Like, he can put a story together and he makes it sound great. And I'm looking at let's get you on the creative team. I know Paul Heyman's gone. Get my son in there. Let's do it. But yeah, as for where the feud goes between Braun and Bray, I don't know where it's going to go. I think it's actually going to be decent. The actual match itself, the Wyatt Swamp fight. Cinematic matches have been hit and miss. I fucking hated the Money in the Bank one. Hated it. But then you've had the Boneyard match, which was incredible. And I've lost count of how many times I've actually watched that, which now has more significant meaning if it's Taker's last match. You had the Firefly Funhouse match, which involved Bray, which I thought was great. It was crazy, but I enjoyed it. And yeah, you had the Money in the Bank. And then we've had another one. Oh, the NXT one, the backlot, but that was absolutely atrocious. And then the AEW one in the stadium, didn't watch that, so I can't comment on that. So we've had a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to cinematic matches, but because of the fact that it's got Bray in it, as Colt Bray, and we've got Braun kind of feeding into his black sheep gimmick, I think we might be okay. I think we might be okay with this match, but we'll see. Then we go to another match. Kofi Kingston versus Shinsuke Nakamura. On paper, you'd think it was a good match. And it was. It did not disappoint. Early on, Cesaro and Big E were evicted from ringside, which allowed Nakamura and Kofi just to have a straight up, clean singles match. And I would love to see more between these two. I really would. I thought they really meshed well together. It was nice to see Shinsuke showcased like this for the first time in God knows how long. And initially, when I saw that Shinsuke and Cesaro have been together, for quite a while now, since they, were under the leadership of Sami Zayn. But of course, Sami Zayn has gone away. I think they've really come into their own as tag team since Sami's been away, actually, and that's not a disservice to Sami at all. I love Sami Zayn. I think he's fantastic, but I think since they've gone away and they've kind of had to focus on being just being a tag team together, they've really come into their own. And Cesaro just has that ability. It's weird because I would love to see Cesaro, and there's so many people that agree with me here. I would love to see Cesaro have a singles run and hit the main event and have a world title run. I honestly don't think it's going to happen in WWE. I think we're so far past that line. It's just not going to happen. And you harken back to when Vince was on Austin's podcast a couple of years back, 3-4 years ago. And he's like, guys like Cesaro, you got to grab the brass ring. He can't talk. Basically saying, you can't cut a promo for shit. You might be good in the ring, but you need to be the whole package to fucking succeed here. So I think we're far past that. But Cesaro has that weird ability to be able to form a tag team with anybody and make it work. Swagger made it work. Sheamus, The Bar, made it work. One of my favorite tag teams ever. Tyson Kidd made it work. One of my favorite tag teams ever. And now he's with Shinsuke Nakamura. It's starting to click. It's starting to work. They might not go on to be my favorite tag team because I don't think that the personality click is there like it is with Sheamus and it was with Tyson Kidd and even Swagger to some extent. But still a great tag team. But yes, T3, I completely agree. Cesaro is, honestly, I see so many clips throughout, not just Cesaro's time in WWE, but stuff he's done before. Like, the guy is a freak. He's super strong, super athletic, super technical. He's got the look, and it's just not there for him. I saw him wrestle live against Ilya Dragunov at NXT UK Takeover Cardiff last year, and it was amazing. I've never seen him wrestle live, and to be able to actually see Cesaro do what he does best when the gloves are off, just straight up exhibition match. I could see completely what he was capable of, and it was such a good match with Dragunov. One that I think is going to get forgotten about, which is a shame because it was really good, and because it was on NXT UK, which I don't think gets as much love as it deserves. I know obviously it's in a bit of a sticky patch at the moment because we've had some pricks on there ruin the show for everybody else. And it's just another example of Cesaro being a shining light in WWE, and he's still here. He's not somebody. Vince likes loyalty, and this is the thing that annoys me as well. Vince likes loyalty, and Cesaro, despite, I think he had that little smitter in about 3 years ago, around the time when he got that really shit entrance music. I think he started to voice some concerns about where he was in the company. Shoot or not, they were there, and probably did echo his real life thoughts. But he's still here to this day. Despite not having that push in the main event, he's still around, seemingly still loving what he's doing. So he has loyalty there, and Vince loves loyalty. Award the man. But anyway, I tangent a lot, if you hadn't noticed. Shinsuke Nakamura, Kofi, yeah, it was a really good match. Just to add to the good selection that we had throughout the show. It kind of reminded me of back in the good old days when SmackDown was the wrestling show. Not one match stunk. Good stuff. Rare. And Shinsuke Nakamura picked up the win. Obviously, this is leading towards seemingly was leading towards a tag team title match at Extreme Rules. We're getting that next week. Why? Just have it on the pay-per-view. There's a pay-per-view coming up. There's titles. Put it on the pay-per-view. Cesaro, I think it will end up there anyway, because Cesaro pulled out a table, and you know for a fact that whenever Extreme Rules comes along or TLC comes along, WWE gets straight over to IKEA, start buying all that furniture in, and throw it under the ring. So Cesaro's pulling out this table, and you go, there you go, there's your tables match. New Day versus Cesaro and Nakamura tables match. Wasn't announced next week, tag team title match on SmackDown. There's going to be some tomfoolery. There's going to be some shenanigans. Something's going to go down. It's not going to be clean. And then, in fact, somebody's going to go through a table next week. Mark my words, somebody's going through a table next week, which will then set up the tables match at Extreme Rules. Boom. There's my prediction. Yeah, exactly. It'll probably end up in DQ. Kofi going through... No, Big E. Big E likes to go through tables. Big E's going to go through a table, and that's going to set things up. Same brain, T3. I like it. So that's where that's going, and I hope it does end up on Extreme Rules, because I think these two teams together mesh really well. I still love the New Day, despite the fact they've been around for 16 years. Nakamura and Cesaro are obviously coming into their own now as well. So it's going to be good. I'm not really a big fan of just tables matches for the most part, but if it's a tornado table match and it's not like a tag, like a traditional tag one, then I can live with it. But if it's like a tagging in one, it's just fucking stupid, pointless. But I think that's where it's going. But we'll see. Either way, good match. And, I don't know if anyone noticed, by the way, Michael Cole called a Kinshasa a running knee, and that really annoyed me. So, on top of his many mutterings of, he's landed on the back of his neck, he also called the Kinshasa a running knee. So, WWE will mess it up and bring back the Dudley Boys to make it a triple threat. Why not? Why not? So many wrestlers are taking time off because of COVID. Fuck it, let's bring back the Dudleys. They'll be fine. I think Devon's still a producer or an agent there, unless he got furloughed. So all you have to do is convince Bubba to come back, and away you go. And then it hit me. As soon as Nakamura hit the 1, 2, 3, it hit me. The toasting of Jeff Hardy segment was the main event. Why? I'm lost for words at the point of this thing. If it was in the middle of the show, or if it kicked off the show and have Riddle Morrison have the interview at the end of the show and then go into that match, would have been great. And then you'd have the little brawl at the end, which then could feed into next week's SmackDown. Would have made sense. Or you could have had the actual Intercontinental title match, as the main event match. Wouldn't have batted an eyelash. Would have been a great way to finish the show. We didn't get that. We got the toasting of Jeff Hardy. The storyline continues to go on and on and on and on, and it's just getting to that point where, I for so many people, it wore out its welcome day one. The moment Sheamus was throwing out junkies and hitting Elias with cars and blaming Jeff for DUIs and getting him to do piss tests on TV and getting piss thrown on him and all this stuff, I think it wore out its welcome very, very early on, because it offended a lot of people. And, I'm in that spot where I can see why it offends people and upsets people having this storyline air. Because alcoholism and drug addiction, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, that hits home for so many people who are fans of wrestling or outside of wrestling. So many people, are affected by it in some way, directly or indirectly. It doesn't really matter. So I can see why people are upset. But I'm on that side of the fence that can see that this is just entertainment. You know, it's just a storyline within TV entertainment. It's no worse than what you would get on other TV shows or movies. In fact, there's a lot worse on other TV shows and movies. So I'm okay with the storyline being a thing, but that doesn't mean I'm enjoying it. You know, there's been smitterings where I thought, if Jeff brings that fire and passion and just kind of anger to it and, you know, takes it to Sheamus is playing his role fantastically. I'm not going to take that away from him. But if Jeff gets his redemption, which has been the whole key word, Jeff Hardy's redemption story, then it all works out fine. But then he lost at Backlash. Why would you lose it? Why would you have all this stuff? I get if you want to prolong it, you know, that's what you do in a feud. You have one person win and one person lose, and depending on who that person is, depends on whether that feud continues or not, or how long that continues. With Sheamus winning, that meant this thing was going to continue. If Jeff Hardy won, that's his redemption, done. So I can see why they're continuing it. I don't want it to continue. I don't want it to continue. I think I was either last week. Oh, excuse me. I was either last week or the week before, and Jeff did like a little promo backstage about how he wasn't going to let things get to him. He wasn't going to find himself back in that dark place. I thought that was actually a really good promo. And I thought, well, if this is where it is, and they kind of stop focusing on the junkie aspect and the fact that he's drinking and all this, just let that go and just focus on something else. I think I would have been cool with it. But the fact that we're still on this junkie shite, Jeff came down to the ring. There's loads of drinks in the ring. And then Sheamus comes up on Zoom, I assume. Rhymes. And is doing a toast. This annoyed me. The fact that he's toasting, and I understand the traditional toast is with champagne, but why is he not toasting with Guinness? Come on, Sheamus. You know better than that. Toast with Guinness. No better. He's up on there. He's up on Zoom. He's toasting Jeff Hardy, toasting this bullshit storyline. And he's got this butler or waiter in the ring, and it's the same old crap that we've heard. Just, oh yeah, take a drink. You know you want to. Give in to temptation. Jeff's like, no, you're not gonna. You're just a bully. You're not gonna make me do it. And all this time, the waiter's he's literally like holding the drink like that in his face. That would annoy me. That would really annoy me. Guinness over champagne. Yes, tea-free. Absolutely. It's just holding this drink in his face. And I actually thought that maybe that... I was like... I have to remember thinking that's offended somebody. You know, somebody's going to take offense to that. You're holding an alcoholic beverage in front of an alcoholic's face. Somebody's going to find that offensive. And yet he held that thing in front of his face for probably about 2 minutes. It tickled me. I thought it was really funny. This guy, even my wife commented on it, was like, why is that guy holding a drink in his face? It's just weird. And obviously E.T.'s drinking it. He's not going to drink it, is he? Even if it was water in there or like apple juice. He wasn't going to be drinking that. Thankfully. that would be crossing a line and would be a bit too much. And I think people would be showing up to the performance center with pitchforks. He poured the drink on the guy's head and then smashed the bottle into the back of his. I'm pretty sure, by the way, that a sound effect was piped in for when that bottle hit the back of his head. There is no way it sounded that clean when he smashed it. And I don't know. I don't know if anybody noticed this, or it was the lighting, or it was just me. I'm pretty sure I saw blood on his hand, and like, because he was holding it back of his head, and I'm pretty sure I saw it like there, like a little bit, as if it dropped off. I don't know. I would have been pretty cool to see that. Could have sold it a little bit more. But he did sell the Swanton pretty well. So fair play to that guy that guy's probably been in the crowd since the COVID stuff and they've started letting people in. He's probably been out in the crowd. He probably works for WWE, and yeah, and one day he might become WWE champion. That waiter, because can remember when Johnny Gargano on SmackDown those years ago, many years ago, kind of came to the ring as like some folk Swedish type person, like a yodeler or something like that. I don't know what the hell that gimmick was. It was bizarre, and obviously he's gone on to good things. So this guy being a waiter. Who knows? Who knows? But that is how SmackDown ended. It ended not only with the whole toasting of Jeff Hardy segment, which was complete BS, but it ended with the waiter getting a drink poured on his head, swantoned, and obviously hitting the back of the head with a bottle as well, and Jeff celebrating. I was like, I haven't watched SmackDown for ages. And this is the SmackDown I decided to do a live review, so I have to watch it. I can't come on here and talk to the two people that watch this and not know what I'm talking about, because then it's just stupid. So I have to watch it and engage with the show. And I actually thought I'd hit the jackpot. The one time in the last couple of months, maybe even 7 or 8 months, I sit down and watch SmackDown, and it is amazing. What a great show. For it to then end like that was kind of, oh. And the thing is, the whole segment has its own hashtag as well. You know, WWE title matches, they have hashtags. Any title match usually has its own hashtag. Any specialty match that is really hyped, like Io and Sasha at the Great American Bash, they had their own hashtag. Jeff's Toast, that had its own hashtag. That's how much WWE valued that entire segment. It's fucking stupid. How's this thing carrying on? It's so... I just don't get it. I honestly don't get it. Please, whatever happens, if it's a piss in the face match, or a Guinness on a pole match, or a sobriety fucking rehab on a string in the crowd attached to Buff Bagwell's mother on a fucking stretcher match, whatever it is at Extreme Rules, just let that be the end of it. Let that be the end. You know, like I said, I'm okay with the storyline, grandest, side of things. Exactly. Let's make fun of alcoholics. That's exactly what it is. It's fucking stupid. It is. And like I said earlier, I understand where they're coming from, and I know people are going to be upset about it. I know that movies and TV shows, they all explore this storyline. There's an alcoholic and everything. But it doesn't mean I want to see it in wrestling. Don't want to see it in wrestling. So as long as it ends at Extreme Rules, nothing more will be said about it. Apart from next week when I moan about it then. And the Go Home show in 2 weeks' time when I'll probably moan about it again. Maybe just let off the alcohol side of things and just focus on having a really good match together at Extreme Rules, which you are capable of. Jeff Hardy and Sheamus are not terrible in the ring. So just focus on that side of things instead of the alcohol. Just a little bit of advice for anybody in WWE watching this, because I'm sure you are. But that was SmackDown, and I actually, apart from that, obviously end segment, I thought it was great. And I'm so glad that this was the one that I thought, I'm going to, as a thank you, I'm going to throw this SmackDown stream together and, review the show once it's done. And I'm glad I did. I am glad I did. It hasn't restored my faith in SmackDown as a whole, because it's just one show. But it does mean next week I will actually take a little bit more notice, because there's some good stuff coming up next week, from what I saw. I don't remember. I know they hyped it. I think New Day versus Shinsuke and Cesaro is next week, tag team title match. And then you've got, I think it was Bliss and Cross against Banks and Bailey next week. And then there was another match as well, but I missed that. I can't remember which one that was. Don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. But it looked decent. It looked like a decent show next week. So I will tune in and maybe I'll do another live review. We'll see how it goes. But I'm not fully back on Team SmackDown, but I'm getting there. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I watched it. I needed that because SmackDown is the worst show of the three brands in WWE by a country mile. NXT is the best. Raw, I actually like Raw. I enjoy Raw. That's NXT I'll always watch on a Thursday. Or at the moment, I'm watching it live so I can do stuff on YouTube for it. Raw I'll always watch on the Tuesday. But SmackDown is just here, there, and everywhere. YouTube, a couple of days after. Never live, anything like that. But I want it to be a case where NXT will always be better. Always be better. But I want it to be a case where Raw and SmackDown are at least on a level footing. But we'll see how things go. But that was SmackDown, guys. But Guinness over Raw. I'm not even going to argue with that. I guess it is. Gonna say. I would even actually say Mango Loco Monster Energy Drink over Raw. This thing is tremendous. It's actually got me through this stream. It's not product placement. I'm not getting any money for that. Annoyingly. Come on, Monster. That's twice. It's appeared, actually. NXT live stream. Okay, I got that. And now today. Give me some money. I've just sold you about 6 Mango Loco energy drinks. It tastes so good. But anyway, SmackDown was great. And we'll see where we go. As far as content within the Dits umbrella, because it's a global brand, is Dits. Is obviously the DOWPOD, the wrestling podcast. It's Dits on YouTube, which is the wrestling gaming site, and now live streams. The DOWPOD is coming up on Monday, where we're covering our 5 greatest matches. I'm giving my 5 favorite matches, and Anthony is giving his 5 favorite matches. So I'm really looking forward to getting to that. We don't know what each other has picked at this point. So we'll be recording that tomorrow night, and it will release on Monday. Either Saturday or Sunday, you'll see a bonus episode of the DOWPOD as well, continuing our Captain's Cabin wrestling quiz with Scott Robinson. He hosts the Wrestling Through Life wrestling podcast, which is available on YouTube, so go check that out. That'll be coming up this weekend. And then next week, I'll either have a live reaction / live watch along of NXT, Great American Bash Night 2, or a live review of the show. Probably the former, because I'm at work the next day. And then throughout, you'll get a smattering of other stuff. Of course, this channel does bring gaming to the equation as well. And I have a Dits Reacts video coming out for Batman Arkham Asylum, to be precise. So that's coming up soon as well. So plenty of content for you guys to sink your teeth into. And of course, the best way to keep up with all of that is by subscribing to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like, algorithms, and press that little bell so you know when these videos drop. Do that for me. That would be fantastic. Do that. It takes 2 seconds. 2 seconds of time. I'll let you do it now. There you go. I heard the click. I better have heard the click. You better press subscribe. All this time I spent talking, you better have pressed that subscribe button. Do it now. Thank you so much for taking part in the stream, especially T3. You have been here. I don't know how long you've been here, actually. I've just seen a stream of T3 text. So thank you guys for chipping in on the chat. And hopefully these live streams become a bigger thing going forward, because the views on the last one are doing really well. And I hope the same can be said for this. I haven't even checked what's been on here at any point, but we'll see when stuff starts coming out. But thank you guys for being here for the stream, or checking out the replay if you're catching it later. And I'll see you on the Dits on Wrestling podcast over the weekend and Monday, but I'll see you live on YouTube on Wednesday for NXT Great American Bash Night 2. Stay safe, guys. Stay mother flipping safe.